told you guys this would happen. I did a story on this a while ago because it was already starting to happen in California. There was paid studies to have these guys go out, take air samples using their fancy little gadgets. And I warned you, watch what happens in California because they're gonna set the pace for the rest of the United States. So now we got headlines. U.S. Safety Agency to consider ban on gas stoves amid health fears. Around 50% of the population in the United States have gas stoves. So how are they gonna get this done? Well, they're already linking it to childhood illnesses. Some illnesses some would suspect are caused by something else. But no, it's probably the gas stove, so we gotta get rid of that. How in the heck are they gonna enforce taking away everyone's gas stove? What you guys should know and be aware of, coming right up. If you're brand new here, welcome to our awesome community where we do emergency preparedness how-tos, prepping tips, and news that affects you weekly. So if that's something you might find value in, hit that notification bell. Let's jump into this one. So here we go. They're after your gas stove now, which makes sense. Natural gas, propane, fossil fuels related. So we got to get rid of it. But that's not the reason. It's because of your health. Bloomberg comes out with an article today. U.S. Safety Agency to consider ban on gas stoves amid health fears. Not the headline you want to read, especially if you're like me and have a gas stove. So we probably know the real reason, but what's the reason they give? The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission will move to regulate gas stoves as new research links them to childhood asthma, all at the same time as something we recently had to go through. Well, I've heard lots of speculation that that possibly could be the reason for the new onset asthma. So are they really going to ban our gas stoves? Listen, a federal agency says ban on gas stoves is on the table amid rising concern about harmful indoor air pollutants emitted by the appliances. So now last time I did this video, because they were doing this in California, we had a lot of people write in how long people have been using gas stoves, and they didn't seem to have any problems back in those years. But let's keep reading. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission plans to take action to address the pollution, which can cause health and respiratory problems. And so can a lot of other things. But maybe this is worse. In quotes, this is a hidden hazard. Richard Trumka Jr., an agency commissioner, said in an interview, quote, any option is on the table. Products that can't be made safe can be banned, end quote. Sounds like a powerful guy thinking he can ban whatever he wants. Natural gas stoves, which are used in about 40% of homes in the U.S., emit air pollutants such as nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and fine particulate matter at levels the EPA and here it is, World Health Organization have said are unsafe and are linked to respiratory illness. I knew the WHO was going to be in there. Going on, also cardiovascular problems, cancer, and other health conditions according to reports by groups such as the Institute for Policy Integrity and the American Chemical Society. It's interesting that this happens to happen at a time of fuel crisis. Ban half of the country's uses of a gas-powered range. That would cut back on some natural gas, and that's to add to free up more gas to ship it and sell it at a higher price over to Europe. Consumer Reports in October urged customers planning to buy a new range to consider getting an electric after tests conducted by the group found high levels of nitrogen oxide gases from the gas stoves. And with all the power outages and rolling blackouts and what it seems like a lack of power these days, wouldn't that make you feel better if you owned a gas stove and you went electric? I don't think too many people are going to be happy about this. New peer-reviewed research published last month in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that more than 12% of current childhood asthma cases in the U.S. can be attributed to gas stove use. And that's a huge claim. What do you guys think about that? If you guys have something to say about that, put it in the comments. There's about 50 years of health studies showing that the gas stoves are bad for your health. And the strongest evidence is on our children and children's asthma, said Brady Seals, a manager in the Carbon Free Buildings program at the nonprofit Clean Energy Group RMI and a co-author of the study. By having a gas connection, we are polluting the inside of our homes. Another thing that I was once told, you got to keep an eye on those nonprofits because they grow to be really big companies and the funding comes in and salaries are paid. The Bethesda, Maryland-based Consumer Product Safety Commission, which has a staff of roughly 500 people, plans to open a public comment on hazards posed by gas stoves later in this winter. Besides bearing the manufacture or import of gas stoves, options include setting standards on emissions from the appliances Trumka set. More and more regulations, that's what we're going to see. Lawmakers have weighed in asking the commission to consider requiring warning labels, range hoods, and performance standards. In a letter to the agency in December, lawmakers included Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey and Representative Don Beyer of Virginia, both Democrats, urged action and called gas stove emissions a cumulative burden on Black, Latino, and low-income households that disproportionately experience air pollution. And they've always got to make it racial, right? Parallel efforts by state and local policymakers are targeting the use of natural gas in buildings more broadly in a push to reduce climate warming emissions, such as from methane, that exacerbate climate change. Nearly 100 cities and counties have opted policies that require or encourage a move away from fossil fuel-powered buildings. The New York City Council voted in 2021 to ban natural gas hookups in new buildings smaller than 7 stories by the end of this year. The California Air Resource Board anonymously voted in September to ban the sale of natural gas-fired furnaces and water heaters by 2030. Not looking good, so I can understand restricting people from buying it in new construction. But what about the people that already have it, like me? Consumers who want to switch from gas to electric ranges could get some help from the massive climate spending bill signed into law in August. The Inflation Reduction Act included rebates up to $840 for the purchase of new electric ranges as part of some $4.5 billion in funding to help low and moderate income households electrify their homes. And like I said, in a time where electricity is becoming an issue, I personally will not be taking the $840. I will elect to keep my gas range and be more self-sufficient. The Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers, which represents gas range manufacturers such as Whirlpool Corporation, says that cooking produces emissions and harmful byproducts no matter what kind of stove is used. I think that there's a lot of things that have always produced a lot of emissions. It's just which ones are being attacked. Ventilation is really where the discussion should be rather than banning one particular type of technology, said Jill Notini, vice president with Washington-based trade group. Banning one type of cooking appliance is not going to address the concerns about overall indoor air quality. We may need some behavioral change. We may need people to turn on their hoods when cooking. And this is a good point, awareness. That's what hood fans are used for. It's not just to get rid of that bacon smell, it's to get rid of the air pollutants caused by an open flame indoors. So with that safety tip, if you do have a gas range, be sure to operate your hood fan at the same time, open a window, get fresh air, because that could be seen as a concern. But eliminating your gas stove because of it, well, that's like getting rid of your car because of car accidents. Natural gas distributors whose business is threatened by the growing push to electrify homes argue that the ban on natural gas stoves would drive up costs for homeowners and restaurants with little environmental gain. And that's just it. Whether some of these environmental changes make sense or not, we've got a problem with leaping before looking. And by that I mean jumping to conclusions, solves before you're even ready. As many of you know, we've already experienced the lack of electricity, rolling blackouts because there's not enough electricity to go around, and they're wanting to electrify 40% more homes in the United States? Yeah, right. The American Gas Association, which represents utilities such as the Dominion Energy Incorporation and the DTE Energy Corporation, said in a statement that regulatory and advisory agencies responsible for protecting residential consumer health and safety have presented no documented risks from gas stoves. And there it is. No documented proof, which seems to be the theme these days, right? You have to do this, you have to do that for your safety, but we're not going to show you the evidence. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission and EPA do not present gas range as a significant contributor to an adverse air quality or health hazard in their technical or public information literature, guidance, or requirements, said Karen Harbert, the group's president. The most practical, realistic way to achieve a sustainable future where energy is clean as well as safe, reliable, and affordable is to ensure it includes natural gas and infrastructure that transports it. Finally, a high five to Karen. Meanwhile, Republicans criticize the potential move as government overreach. And many would say they've been seeing a lot of that lately. And here we go, the punchline. If the CPSC really wanted to do something about public health, it would ban cigarettes or automobiles long before it moved on to address stoves, said Mike McKenna and GOP energy lobbyists. It's transparently political. We'll give Mike McKenna a high five as well. Trumka, who before joining the commission worked for a House committee in a role that included work on toxic heavy metals in baby food and the health hazards of e-cigarettes, said the commission could issue a proposal as soon as this year, though he conceded that would be on the quick side. Seems like they try to push this stuff out awfully quick before anyone can do anything about it. In quotes, there is a misconception that if you want to do fine dining kind of cooking, it has to be done on gas, Trumka said. It's a carefully manicured myth. I'll put a link to that article down in the description in case you guys want to read it over yourselves, but it is a real thing. It's something that they're trying to push through, and there's a high possibility, like a lot of other things that have been pushed through, that this could be pushed through. What are you guys going to do if you have to give up your gas stoves? Are you guys going to give up your gas stoves? Are you for this or against this? Let me know down in the comments. But with this affecting 40% of America, I thought it was a big deal to let you know what was going on. And please share this, guys. Make people aware, as this type of stuff often gets brushed under the rug. More people knowing about it that are against it, the bigger the stink and the harder for them to push it through. Got a few great videos around me that you guys may have missed. Check them out. As I know more, I'll keep you guys informed. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you on the next one.